Agricultural development in Kenya can no longer do without sustainability. Ecosystems with diversity of interactions require to be regarded as a whole in order to fully exploit the potentials and limit their associated risks of environmental degradation. Ecological land use management practices, also known as the ELAM practices, are a type of sustainable land use that pursues agricultural and ecological principles, as well as aiming for food security, social justice, and food quality health. Participatory ecological land use management is a network of civil society organizations or NGOs working with small-scale farmers in East, Central, and Southern Africa. PELAM values people-centered development, recognition and respect for indigenous knowledge, creativity, innovations, and commitment to action, result, and impact. PELAM also promotes participatory ecological land use and management practices in the East, Central, and Southern region.
We are looking at those practices that contribute to the balance of ecology. While some of these practices are ecological land use friendly practices, we also are looking at the aspect of economic returns for the farmers.
In this series of best ELAM practices, the Community Sustainable Development Empowerment Program, a PELAM Kenya member organization based in Gashie district of Central Province, has been implementing different ELAM practices ranging from mushroom production, compost making, livestock rearing, agroforestry, among other sustainable agricultural activities.
Since the year 2002, we have managed to reach at least 15,000 farmers through training them on sustainable agriculture. In the demo, we have income generating activity within the farm, whereby we grow the crops and we sell it the produce to our local market.
The mushroom growing project was initiated by cosdep to beef up the annual donor funding in early 2010. They also chose mushroom production due to the high demand and easy accessibility of the markets in Nairobi City.
We mostly or specifically deal with the oyster mushrooms. Some of the benefits of the oyster mushrooms are nutritious-wise. It is rich in proteins, and number two, it doesn't demand a lot, or the starting capital for growing oyster mushrooms is a bit low as compared to other varieties like button. You need to have growing looms, and they must at least two, because you need a growing loom and a loom to colonize your substrate. So the construction of the growing loom and the colonizing loom is just the same. The only difference is that when you start during the growing period, you just open the windows in order to let in air.
Wood-built mushroom growing house needs some soft curtains on the walls, unlike mud mushroom growing houses.
You also put all around the walls, you also need to put some curtains. But if it was in a mud house, which is the best house for mushroom growing, you don't need to put all those things.
One also requires wheat straw, wheat bran, and agricultural lime. A source of fire, big and heavy polythene sheet for steaming the substrate, and small polythene bag of 10 by 15 inches. Chop your wheat straw into small pieces, mix it with water evenly, then remove it and add bran and lime. The ratio of the mixture is 10 kilograms of wheat straw to 2 kilograms of wheat bran to a quarter kilogram of agricultural lime. Mix all together, then stack into the polythene bag. Tie it gently, then put into the silage tube ready for steaming.
After After this, I said you have to put at this mouth, you put the cotton wool and then take it to the polythene tube for steaming.
We use the steam to kill all the pathogens that might be there in the substrate, and also to stimulate decaying of the substrate so that mushrooms can find food. This is a polythene tube of 1000 gauge. It is the same as the one used for silage making. We connect this end of the pipe from the tunnel to one end of the tube and the other one to the other end of the tube. Then we light the fire and wait for it to heat up and release the steam to kill the pathogens in the substrate. When tying or when connecting, you have to tie very tightly and also make sure that there is some small holes to act as breathers to avoid the bursting of this tube when it is extremely hot. These ones are made in such a way that we can light fire below them, and they are connected to such pipes that will let out the steam to the polythene tube that contains the substrate. The other thing is that we put water from the other end until they are full. Then they can be used to steam about 150 for a whole night. In fact, when we are steaming, we maintain a temperature of about 70 degrees centigrade within the tunnel, within the tube, for about as long as we can, within 12 hours.
The product is then taken to colonizing room where the spawn is inserted, which is locally known as the mushroom seeds.
This is the mushroom spawn, packed in a 1/4 kg bottle, and it is used to spawn 20 bags like this one.
1 kg of the spawn is inserted into 80 bags of the freshly prepared substrate, then left in the dark colonizing darkroom for 21 to 30 days for colonization to take place.
So it's after 30 days that you just come and cut around this area here. When this one will be fully colonized, you just cut around this area in order to allow the mushrooms to sprout, and after cutting, the mushrooms takes about 7 to 10 days, and then you start harvesting.
Open the windows to let in air. Sprinkle or spray water in the mushroom growing room airspace evenly to cool the room air and maintain the 18 degrees Celsius temperature mark. Hold firmly the sprouted mushroom around the stem, then twist gently. Take a kitchen knife and cut off the soft stem, holding the mature mushroom parts. Pack the mushroom into the plastic pallet of your desired size. Use the kitchen scale to weigh the mushroom to confirm the amount for purposes of marketing. This is a cling film used to cover the mushroom-filled plastic pallet. Design your own marketing stickers in order to establish the source of your mushrooms and the expiry dates. In any organic farm, the basis for success is on composting and manure management, since soil fertility is very critical. Compost making is beneficial to the holistic ecosystem, including the safety of the food we consume, the soil, fauna and flora, and the general environment. At cosdep, farmers are also trained on some of the best practices in composting.
We bring farmers here for exchange visits so that they can learn some of the best practices, and composting is one of them. One of the chief considerations when deciding to compost is the quality of your compost. And therefore, as a farmer, you must have dry materials, for example, from maize stovers, napier grass remains, grass, and other vegetations. Then those will give you a lot of carbon, which in your heap must be about 50%. And you must also mind about nitrogen, which is a critical nutrient for crops. In that case, you must look for green vegetations and, if possible, use animal manure if you can, so that you can try to minimize the carbon nitrogen ratio in your heap.
Part of the integrated practices at cosdep is animal husbandry. The organization generates income by rearing dairy cows that produce milk and act as a source of financial security. The cow dung is used during composting for organic farming.
We milk this cow 3 times per day. We get an average of 120 to 150 liter per day. Since the time we initiated this project of livestock, we never use the chemical fertilizer to our farm.
Cosdep has also initiated agroforestry practices in order to encourage farmers to plant trees with crops in order to grow together, hence allow significant interaction between woody and non-woody components. They encourage farmers to plant indigenous trees that are agroforestry friendly, such as mukena and other exotic species like Grevilla robusta, locally known as mukema, since it's fast growing, deep rooted in the soil, hence don't compete with other crops and can produce fodder for the animals.
In this farm, there are several thousands of Grevilla robusta trees which have been planted together with maize and napier grass, because as you have seen, the farmer here capitalizes on livestock raising. The tree of choice in this area and in most parts of the central province is the Grevilla robusta. At the same time, it allows crops to grow well underneath, and within a short time they can derive all the benefits they want from the agroforestry. The trees you can see are the ones used by the farmer here for fuel wood, for timber. Like this building, most of the timber has come from this farm.
The farm has adopted both the boundary planting and woodlot systems of agroforestry. However small it sounds according to the members, agroforestry shall contribute to the reduction of global warming since it acts as a measure of controlling deforestation, as fuel wood can be fetched from within the farm. This is also a way of mitigating to microclimate change by sequestrating carbon dioxide.
Other small-scale farmers throughout the world, other trainers can explore the possibility of replicating these practices. Either part of the practices can be replicated or the whole practice can be domesticated and replicated throughout the world or across the country.